us a book, which I would advise that you put in an order, Sex and Romance During Pregnancy and After Birth. What expectant couples need to know. I wish I had read this book before I had my 3 children, and I did not. So it's not too late. I think I'm going to order one, for just for keeps, because I think 3 is okay. So just for keeps, I'm going to order this book. So please put in an order, Sex and Romance During Pregnancy and After Birth, what expectant couples should know. Look for it on Amazon, hardback and Kindle, and put in an order, and I'm sure you will learn a lot. So, Sister Adley, I just love you even before the program starts. I love you so much, and I'm sure you will bless us with all your experience. So you are welcome to speak to us.
Thank you so much, Sister Eva. I am so flattered with your extensive introduction of me. Thank you so much, and I'm delighted to be here for us to share this vital or important information around sex during pregnancy. Okay, so the aim of today is to be able to encourage people to feel comfortable to talk about this topic, because as you said earlier on, it's a very important topic, and to increase their knowledge around it. And why am I saying this? Do you agree with me that this is a massive taboo topic? Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And because I think even mothers don't, speak to their daughters, grown-up daughters, about it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So let's explore that. Why do you think it's a taboo topic? Why do you think people are not comfortable to talk about it?
I think people are mostly ashamed of talking about something that happens indoors, outdoors, and this restricts knowledge. And without knowledge, we are limited in so many ways. Living limited life, without knowing that something can be so much easily done without any precautions.
That's so true. And even before I wrote this book, I actually realized that, or touched on this topic, or decided I wanted to explore more about sex and childbirth. As a midwife, even in that profession, I realized that my colleagues were uncomfortable to address this topic. It's something that they are more than happy to talk about family planning contraception. But what actually happened with that family planning contraception? Even after women have had their babies and they go visit them, they will talk about family planning contraception, but reluctant to talk about, feel uncomfortable to address this subject area. And yet there are so many important issues around it that, if not addressed, can actually create a lot of problems for them. And anybody who tries to be transparent or open about talking about sex during pregnancy or sex in general may be seen as not posh. Am I right? Or it's not ladylike. So. You talking about sex, that's profane. You are spoiled, even right from our teenage ages or even childhood. You could be told off for even talking about it, or you are not seen as prudent, or people may find it such an embarrassing topic to talk about. So I'm really excited that we are actually breaking the mold today, and we are going to talk about it because we realize that it's not just talking about it because it's an embarrassing topic. It's something that needs to be addressed. If we can talk about headache, we can talk about stomach ache, we can talk about leg pains and blood pressure and other things. Why is this different when it's part of the body? And it can have impact on our well-being if we don't talk about it. Okay, sex is not the only way, I have to admit, or the only thing that makes a great relationship. But I can tell you that to make a great relationship, sex is very important. Without sex, you cannot make a great relationship. Okay, and it's very important. So when I talk about great relationship, we're not only talking about penetrative sex, we're talking about intimacy. So being intimate with your partner physically and also intimate emotionally. Very, very, very important. Okay. So what we're going to do is sex in general, the whole situation changes a bit when we then have to move to the realms of during pregnancy. So it may all be well and fine if the couple are married now or they're in a relationship and they have their sexual relationship, everything is going great. And then pregnancy kicks in. Then the whole situation changes. And that's why we need to address this. So it's not that hunky-dory that just because you are pregnant, it's fine, you can carry on. So we need to address some of the issues that can actually prevent people from wanting to have sex or refraining from, or from not wanting to have sex or refraining from sex. And then we'll look at the taboos, the myths, the beliefs, why people refrain from the act during pregnancy. So the physical changes that women go through and the psychological changes that we go through. We're also going to look at the myths. And what are myths? Myths are things that people generally believe, but they are not necessarily true. So something that kind of go or circulate around and everybody believes that is the truth, but there is no truth in it. So we look at the myths surrounding sex and childbirth. And we're also going to look at the positions that the couple can adopt change those positions, especially when you are pregnant. You may not be able to use the usual position that you use with a flat tummy. So we're going to have a look at that. And then we look at the benefits of sex during pregnancy. And also we'll look at when to avoid penetrative sex during pregnancy. So that's so far the areas where we're going to be exploring today. Are you happy with it, Sister Audrey and Sister Eva?
Yep, absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, brilliant. So now let's explore the physical changes that occur and why women may not, or their partners may not feel comfortable to have that sexual encounter with them. Do you have any in mind that you think can be quite off-putting with the physical changes that the woman goes through or the body goes through during pregnancy? What are some of the physical changes do you think occur that can affect their sexual relationship?
I think the most common ones are vomiting, nausea and vomiting, which usually starts from beginning. I mean, that's the symptoms that gives you away as soon as possible. And sometimes it does carry on for, depends individually. Some women will have to carry it through. Others just the first 3 months or few months. And I think sometimes it could be off-putting for a man to observe a woman vomiting every 2 minutes.
It's not that it could be off-putting. It's actually very off-putting, isn't it?
It is, yes.
The woman always feeling nauseous and all rushing to go and vomit, and the man watching her. It's kind of, it's not enticing to have sex when somebody is being sick like that. So that's the reality on the ground. Okay. What do you think about that, Sister Eva?
Well, when I am pregnant, I vomit for about 7 months, a solid 7 months. Yes, the morning sickness does not stop till around 7 months, and it's serious morning sickness. So
with that, do you have any kind of desire for sex, or is it completely opposite? Some people do, because they do have the vomiting just within a period of time during the day. It could be just in the morning, and then in the evening it settles. So
mine is throughout the day, to be honest. Throughout the day, and lots of heartburn, which makes it even worse. Lots of heartburn.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you are very uncomfortable with that.
Yes, very.
Yeah. Any other physical? Then we will explore all the physical changes.
Obviously, the growing belly.
Mm-hmm.
Growing belly is stands in the way, and it makes everything a bit awkward.
But the belly doesn't become big straight away. Yeah. So with some women, as soon as they see the clear blue positive, or the doctor tells them you are pregnant, or they find out themselves that they are pregnant. That's it. They put a padlock there. No more sex till the baby arrives. So even with the first 3 months, as we said, the nausea and vomiting, but even people who do not experience this nausea and vomiting, just the fact that they've heard that they are pregnant, they just completely shut the doors to sex. End of story. Full stop. Yeah, but I agree with you. As the pregnancy progresses, the physical changes, the bump can also be in the way, and it can kind of put people off from having sex. Any other physical changes that you can think of? Because we need to explore all these things and establish that they are not really, it's not all that hanky-dory, but what can we do about it to try and get the relationship going? Because the intimacy is also very important. Yeah.
Skin changes sometimes, and also fatigueness.
Yeah.
Women getting tired, you don't really look very attractive.
Mm-hmm.
And if a woman doesn't feel attractive herself,
Mm-hmm.
imagine what the man would look at from a distance and like.
It's interesting though. Andre, I see where you're coming from. It's interesting because sometimes the woman may feel like that, but the man may not necessarily see it as such at all. And then sometimes he may. But you are right. With the physical changes going on with the skin, sometimes people get. I remember when I was expecting my second child, I completely yes, I'm a black woman, right? But I'm slightly, shall I say brown? Shall I say? But I turned into pitch black around my neck. My nose became big. The lips became thicker. I didn't feel sexy at all, because you think that you've got those skin changes that make you feel sexy to even. So you feel like you are no longer attractive. So psychologically, you're not confident, if I may put it that way. So yes, I agree with you. Having said that, there are positive skin changes, okay? Have you realized that when some women are pregnant, they actually glow? The skin glow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you also have this birth mark. It's almost like a birth mark, but it's a pregnancy change, skin change, which is this nice black line that runs over the abdomen. Yeah.
Yes.
In midwifery or in obstetrics, we call it linea nigra. It's so beautiful, especially when the bum gets bigger. So I see we look at the glow, the woman glowing, and with that linea nigra that she develops, it's quite attractive. So with the skin changes, yes, if you go or you get those patches, we call it chlorisma. So the patches, some red patches that you get during pregnancy, that can make some knock your confidence, but also you can glow, and you can also have that linea nigra that makes you feel so special and beautiful. Can you think of any other changes?
Going down to the physiological changes, pregnancy can sometimes be very irritating.
Mm-hmm.
From personal experience, and mood changes. You can be happy 1 minute and the next minute you don't even want to speak to anybody around you, let alone allowing somebody to touch you. It's something so irritating. Sometimes you just can't, you don't know what to do.
Yeah. So that's irritability. Yeah.
Yes, that is not something. It's not something that you can control, especially when the hormones are taking control and doing what they want to do. You just have to flow with it.
That's absolutely true. I will link that. We will come to the psychological changes, but let me just touch quickly on the last couple of physical changes. So talking about irritability, do you realize that when you are pregnant, you have breast changes in your breast? The boob becomes very tender. So can you imagine, previously, if you were already maybe during sex, that is the area that the man will touch for pleasure, and then suddenly, because of the changes that occur in the breast, when he touches you, you have to jump because you no longer, it's so tender, it's so painful, you don't want that to be touched. That can have impact on the relationship, because the whole dynamics has changed. And this is why this education is very important. If the men know that the woman's breast becomes very tender, therefore, if it's been about touching breast to try as part of foreplay, maybe you want to consider something else. And it's not just depending on the man, it's down to the woman to communicate that, to say, okay, because of this pregnancy, my breast is now tender, so maybe avoid touching my breast. They can go for kissing rather than touching or stimulating the nipple, which can be quite painful, and again can cause that irritation. Okay.
What about sadly? What about an enhanced sense of smell? Is that normal with pregnancies to have an enhanced sense of smell?
Yeah, it's very common, and that comes about because of the hormonal changes that's going on. And again, that can also even have an impact on the sexual relationship, because the perfume that is on your man can even put you off and push him away. You don't want him to put any perfume on because the smell, and it can just overwhelm you and even want him to actually
throw up,
yeah, and it can just put you off sex with the smells. Yeah, that's so true. Okay. Then as the pregnancy advances, the posture can change as well. So you can also start to experience backache. And if you have backache, how are you going to even move around in bed, let alone try and have sex? So all that reduced mobility or moving around becomes quite restrictive. I'm not sure if most of our audience are from Ghana or other parts of the world, if they are familiar with this thing called the white clay. In Ghana, we call it shile.
Yeah.
You realize that during pregnancy, a lot of women actually eat that.
Yes. Yeah.
It has no nutritional value. So the women tend to eat things that have no nutritional value. Mine was not shile. Mine was ice cubes. The only thing is obviously it melts into
it hydrates you a bit.
It hydrates me, so that I was lucky. But I know some women even scratch the wall and eat paint. Do you have any experience of what women eat with the speaker? And how that can even put the partner off, especially with the chile, and you suddenly start to eat things that are quite unusual. Yeah. Can you think of anything at all, Audrey?
I know somebody who used to eat dry rice. And the myth behind it is to minimize the spitting.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. We'll come to what they need to do with the nausea and vomiting and all the things you said. So you've already addressed that. So now that you've talked about that, let's touch on solutions, because women would like to know, or the couple would like to know. So we've highlighted all these things that can put people off sex. What can they do to minimize these symptoms that will help? So with the nausea and vomiting, sometimes things like cream crackers, toast bread. I'm not sure what Sister Eva ate to try and calm her symptoms, but toast, cream crackers, chewing gum, ginger, all those kind of stuff can help to control it.
Well, I ended up very malnourished. I end up quite malnourished during my pregnancies because I don't eat that much during the pregnancy because of the vomiting.
Yeah.
Yes. So after the pregnancy, I'm very, very, and the baby takes what they want.
Yeah.
So I am left with almost nothing.
Yeah. So these are okay. So going on dry stuff like that, obviously you still need to eat the balanced diet to try and help you to be healthy. Yes. But first thing in the morning, where the peak of the nausea and vomiting is high, you brush your teeth, and then you just maybe have a bit of ginger to calm that down. If that doesn't work, you need to seek advice from your midwife or doctor, because we do have anti-sickness tablets or antiemetics. So anti-sickness tablet that we can actually give to help. So there are a few or a small percentage of women who will proceed, because the nausea and vomiting is normal. They will go beyond that normal nausea and vomiting and get an experience called or a condition called hyperemesis gravidarum. This hyperemesis gravidarum is excessive vomiting. They can't even take anything down. They usually end up in hospital with IV drips. Okay, so when the woman ends up in hospital with these IV drips, it's not a time for the man to abandon her. And this is, I'm talking about relationship or sexual relationship is not just about penetrative sex, as I said earlier on. It's also about love and affection. So visiting her, I'm not sure the rules in UK has changed in terms of bringing flowers because of infection control. I'm not sure about other parts of the world, but there is kind gestures. You can bring something to her in the hospital, even holding her hand, reassurance, kind words, just letting her know that you are there for her to support her. So, because even if it doesn't happen during the pregnancy, when that first 3 months passes, or the 6 months, or the 7 months, or however long it takes, if the woman feels that she's been loved and cared for, she's more likely to open up for that sexual relationship, as opposed to being abandoned and not do that. Oh, what's the problem? What is it? Are you my mom had 7 of us and she was not vomiting and having all these things. Are you just trying to pretend so that you don't have to do the housework? I know somebody who has actually gone through that with the partner when she was going through some of these pregnancy changes. So it's very important that women are supported when we are going through these difficulties, so that when you feel loved, sometimes you find that even with the nausea, you spontaneously kind of have that desire, because it's psychological as well, isn't it? You spontaneously have that desire to want to have sex because of the love and affection that you are receiving. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So some of the physical changes are passing urine frequently. If you pass urine frequently, there is no desire for sex at all. Lack of sleep. Some women will put on weight. Some will have vaginal discharge, excessive vaginal discharge. I don't know if you've heard about that. And they have the increased vaginal discharge, which is called euphoria. And again, during sex, the whole experience can change, particularly for the man, because before the pregnancy, you didn't have that much high vaginal discharge. And then suddenly with the pregnancy, it increases. So sometimes it can be quite wet and slippery. So what do you do about that? It's simple. Just make sure you have extra tissue on the side to wipe. And some people actually find it quite pleasurable because the lubrication, the warmth in the vagina kind of makes the whole sensation quite different and nice. So if you feel that it's excessive discharge, just wipe it. As long as it's not an infection, make sure it doesn't smell and it's not itching, which can be a sign of thrush or candida. So as long as it's not that, just wipe and then carry on with it. And did you know that the libido will increase, or the desire to want to have sex increases around the second trimester? Because pregnancy is divided into 3. We have the first trimester, which is the first 3 months, the middle trimester, which is the coming from 6 months onwards, and then the last 3 months is the third trimester. So the middle bit is the second trimester. And that is when the libido goes high for most women. Okay? And this is where suddenly somebody who's been vomiting and having all this nausea and all the sorts of thing going on has suddenly sprung up full of energy. And if in some cases women who normally don't even approach their partners for sex suddenly going after them when they come from work home, and he gets shocked, like, what's going on here? So it's important for the men not to be surprised, because this is all physiological hormonal changes that's going on that can heighten the woman's sex. Going back to the fact that this topic is a taboo topic, you find that some women may feel horny or have that desire to want to have sex, but because of the taboo subject, or in some cultures, and I would say from our own Ghanaian culture, because it's almost believed that if you're a woman, you don't approach
a man for sex.
Yes, you have to wait for him to come. Who told you that? Sometimes men feel intimidated or the fear of being rejected. So even if they want to, how many times will they approach? They may also not come forward. Especially with a pregnancy, they may also lose a bit of confidence around going for it. So we need to give them that confidence that actually I can also approach you as a woman. And it shouldn't be frowned upon if a woman is approaching a man for sex. It's a two-way thing. That makes the whole thing. And I think men love it when the woman is approaching them It's like, oh yes, my wife loves me. She's actually approaching. It also shows that you appreciate it, you enjoy it, rather than him approaching you all the time and not being sure whether you're going to reject him or not, or even you feel safe to have it. Okay. And so Audrey has already talked about the irritability, mood changes. How are we going to address that? Because if it's hormonal, sometimes I know we play up as well as women. It's not always hormonal. Naturally, we easily get irritated. So the man can't even tell the difference whether it's a pregnancy or not. Or you just want to be rude and you say, oh yeah, it's a pregnancy. So sometimes we hide behind it. Do you have any ideas?
We blame it on the hormones.
We blame it on the hormones. So what advice can we give to couples considering these physical changes that we've talked about? The mood changes, the body image, anxiety, stress. The women can be, yeah, go for it.
I think you've established that in the first trimester, the husbands need to show a lot of emotional concern for the women, so that even if it's not that forthcoming due to the changes going on in the woman will be cared for. The woman will be in the position to open up, so that that bond will not be broken, outright. And in the second trimester, due to the increase in the libido, for the spouses to take advantage and build that relationship and solidify that relationship. Yeah, and to make up, for the first trimester as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I think pregnancy is quite a turbulent stage in any relationship, and both the man and the woman need to be really connected to be able to go through that stage. Yeah.
That's an excellent point, actually, Eva. That's an excellent point. So after the second trimester, the stress kicks in again, the anxiety kicks in again. Okay, as you said, there are so many other factors that can cause stress and anxiety. It could be financial. It could well be that I'm not sure about your experience, but luckily that because I'm in the medical field, I didn't really have that problem. As people, but maybe you do, because as a medical professional, you think of all the possible complications that can happen, and that can cause anxiety and stress. But again, now with social media, people go online and find all sorts of things, and including people's experiences, horrible experiences of childbirth, and that can start to create anxiety, especially preparing towards the end of the pregnancy, that the baby is going to come, is everything going to be fine, what if this happens, what if that goes wrong? And that can create a lot of anxiety for them. If they're having financial constraints, maybe the woman is the breadwinner of the home, the man is not working, he's lost his job, or his income is not enough, and now she has to go on maternity leave. Where are we going to get enough money to look after this new baby and also take care of the household stuff? So all these things can cause anxiety. Okay, so what do you have any ideas, any suggestions, any tips as to how we can control or curb this anxiety in order to maintain a healthy relationship?
Communication.
Yeah, communication is very important.
Communication is a key when these things are happening. And I mentioned earlier on that sometimes limitation to education also creates these barriers, because most of the times there's not much understanding in what's happening around. But if the couple are in a position to speak to their midwives or their doctors, they are much more open to advise them that these stress are to these reasons, and not to worry about especially when it comes to women worried about what will go wrong in delivery. A midwife or your doctor could advise you as to the possibilities, and you could live sound mind with that, knowing that yes, this could happen, but on the other hand, they are ready for me, they're experienced, they can deal with the situation. So I'll say that communication is one of the key things to
That's so true. That is so true. Very, very important to communicate. So if you read anything on the internet that is creating anxiety, it's very important to check it, verify it with a professional who knows what she's doing or what he's doing. At the end of the day, as midwives and doctors, we are trained to deal with this pregnancy. Low risk pregnancy, even if there is deviation from normal, that's what we are trained to deal with emergencies and try and see you through the labor. So that's very, very, very important. Well done for sharing that with us.
Well, in my opinion, a source of anxiety is not clinical at all. It's very social. I think there's this trend now that mothers like to do baby showers and organize programs to announce the birth of the baby. And personally, I think I've seen a trend where that is a major source of anxiety to the couple. Yes, a source of stress, trying to organize it, trying to get people to come, and another trend I've seen, especially in the African ethnic background, is African background is an excessive excessive shopping for the arrival of the baby. Excessive shopping. Buying very expensive things for the arrival of the baby, and that puts a financial stress on the family, especially if the woman has started her maternity and all that.
The pressure is on the man. So if you want to show off, you want to please people, you want to do this baby shower, so put in a lot of stress. So what the word is, cutting your coat according to your size and not living up to other people's expectation, but what you too can afford. But because my friend Susan did it, I'm going to even do a better one that they will know that I'm there and I've done it even better.
And it's not necessary, Our parents did not do that. They survived without all those things, and we are still here. So I think our listeners should know that some of these things are excesses. It does not actually contribute to the birth of the baby. The most important thing is you, the couple, and the safe arrival of the baby.
Yeah,
and everything else is just excess.
Eva. Getting the basics. I'm so happy you made that point. Getting the basics of what you need. I remember I bought the baby's coat and all that. With your first time, as you said, you try and want to make sure that this baby gets almost everything. Half of the things I bought, the baby didn't even use it. And before I knew, that baby outgrew all the clothes so quickly. They grow so fast and you end up not even
wasting lots of money.
The expensive cost, that baby never went into it at all. Okay, so if friends and family feel like they want to give presents because you expect a baby, that's fine. But it shouldn't be something that the couple, as you said, should put pressure. Where is the man going to even get the erection if he knows he has to bring out so much money? He's not going to have that for sex because he's so stressed. And sex is to do with your mind. So if you are not in a good place psychologically, even if you are well physically, it's not going to happen. And if you are not in a good place physically, even if you are well psychologically, it's not going to happen. So you need to be physically sound and psychologically sound for you to have a good, positive experience when it comes to sex. Fantastic. Fantastic.
I have a question.
Go for it.
There's this understanding that having too much sex during pregnancy can harm the woman, which in turn can harm the baby.
Okay.
How true is that?
I will come to that because our next couple of slides is going to talk about the myths. Yeah? Okay. So if I don't answer that, please bring me back and I will answer it. But it will come to the myths. But before we go to the myths, let's talk about appearance. When you are, the fact that you are pregnant doesn't mean you just let yourself go, asking, I'm pregnant now, I'm vomiting. It's not a sickness. It's a beautiful thing that God has put inside you. Yes, you are going through that physiological changes. You need to sometimes your mind can even overcome the physical changes that you are going through, as in even the nausea and all the things that we talked about. It's the outlook. Now we are having this program on radio, right? I could have just been in my pajamas or something and nobody's seeing me.
Yeah.
But I made the conscious effort a couple of hours to the time. I made a conscious effort. I went to the shower. Nobody can see me. I still got my lippy on and I put on my nice top. It gives me that confidence to be able to come and interact with you. If I was in some tired, pajamas, and it may not have the same. So
wanted your camera, wanted your video off.
Yeah, wanting your video. So the same thing goes with pregnancy. The fact that you are pregnant doesn't mean you should just appear anyhow. Okay, when you wake up, even with that, all those symptoms that we talk, the fatigue, the nausea, and all that, try having a shower. Get yourself into a bath, relax, have a shower, and then put on some nice clothes. I remember those days in Ghana. I'm not sure if it's still happening. When somebody's pregnant, they call something maternity dress. This big dress that has no shape. I'm not saying people should wear skimpy clothes that will expose them or reveal them, but these days we have so much in fashion that you can put on. They have this elastic jeans type that you can put on and put a nice sexy top on. That still brings your beauty out. The fact that you are pregnant doesn't mean you should lose your sense of fashion. You need to still look good, because looking good makes you feel good, makes you feel sexy. And the partner sees you, right? And he thinks, oh, wow, my wife is still in town, yeah? He's not going to look at that secretary because you are now off the road for 9 months.
Yeah.
You are still on the road. You look good. So that's very important. And do you have anything to contribute to that point? Do you agree with me that some women just let themselves go, the fact that they are pregnant and can't be bothered?
Well, I guess it's because of how they feel,
Maybe you are guilty, but the way you are coming across.
I agree with Eva.
What about you, Audrey?
I agree with Eva very much so.
Hey.
Sometimes you make the effort, but it just doesn't end up anywhere. You just can't go any further.
We need excuses.
I remember during my last pregnancy, at a point, I think I did not comb my hair for a good 6 weeks because I was so sick. I was so sick that I had this horrible head wrapper on. I was like next to my toilet every time, because that was how much I was frequenting the toilets, to throw up. And it was a horrible first 3 months. Horrible.
The 3 months is hard. But it's a good thing to try and have a shower.
I know.
Go into the shower, sit in a bath, yes, you've been sick, you have a shower, put on something nice. And those of the people who are listening to and who are yet to be pregnant, try that. As difficult as it definitely has some impact psychologically.
Yes.
Because I have tried it. Yes, it's tough. The morning sickness, you just feel like you don't even want to live again. But you make that conscious effort to do something so it can have impact on the way you feel. It definitely makes a difference.
Yes. And when you look good, feel good.
Good. When you look good, you feel good. Try that. It works. It works. Obviously, some people may feel very unwell and not be able to do that. Or even if, let's say, the first 3 months is quite difficult, when you come out of that into your second middle 3 months, that's the second trimester, where you no longer, the nausea and vomiting has subsided, try and feel good. Obviously, sometimes you go out, you are not in the house all the time, are you? So this is what I'm saying, somebody will not care. But the same weave on that she had when she saw she's pregnant, it's on that head for 6 months. She gets into that bed, the head is smelling. That can be, even if there's no sex going on, it's quite off-putting. So you still have to look nice and attractive the best you can, where possible. Now back to the question you asked. If it's safe or how frequent was that your question? So let's look at the myths, which is things that may not be necessarily true, but people people generally believe is the case during pregnancy. One of them is, I don't know, you can share some with me before I hijack it.
I think that, well, sex makes the woman sick, and then it in turn harms the baby.
Yeah. So that is absolutely a myth. It's not true. Sex does not make the woman sick, and it does not harm the baby in any way. We'll talk about occasions whereby we will give medical advice not to have sex. But if the pregnancy is low risk, as in there is no complications, it's a healthy pregnancy. So when I'm talking about the complications, some of the complications I'm talking about, if the person doesn't have previous preterm deliveries or miscarriages, bleeding, all those kind of stuff, or something called placenta previa, when the placenta or the afterbirth is situated right at the lower bit of the womb or at the neck of the womb, which can separate and cause bleeding, which will be an obstetric emergency. There is no reason why the woman cannot have sex, penetrative sex. Okay, so when I'm talking about complications, I need to clarify because somebody will get this and say, oh, I had blood pressure during my pregnancy, or I had gestational diabetes, so maybe I shouldn't have it. No. With all those conditions, you can. I'm talking about these conditions that can cause bleeding, or this condition that can cause bleeding. We will look more into that along the line. But apart from these complications, if the pregnancy is low risk, as I said, there is no reason why you can't have penetrative sex. Some of the myths are. Did you want to say something, Eva?
Yes.
Go for it.
Does sex bring on labor?
Yes, I will address that, and I will
like premature labor.
I will address that. So some people also believe that sex can cause miscarriage, and it can bring a preterm labor. As I said earlier on, if the pregnancy is low risk, it wouldn't. For somebody to have that preterm labor or miscarriage, it has to be something that is already, the person already is predisposed to it. So if they are predisposed to it and they are having that condition, maybe because it runs in the family or something is going on, there is some abnormality going on in the body that is causing that. Generally, if the pregnancy is low risk, it shouldn't do that. The reason why I say that is God is amazing. He has amazing, wonderful hormones in the system. There are different hormones that work at different stages during pregnancy. So the initial time of the pregnancy, there is this hormone that we call progesterone. Progesterone is the hormone that protects the pregnancy. So it stops women from going, it calms the womb down and stops your body from going into labor. So we have high levels of progesterone in your system during the first 6 months or so. So if you have sex, because of the presence of progesterone, that stops you from going into labor or having a preterm. But we then encourage women to have sex towards the end of the pregnancy to bring labor on. And this is why people ask the person, if you're asking me to have sex to bring labor on, then the initial stage is, if I have sex, it can bring my labor. Okay, so this is the explanation. During the first few months or earlier on in pregnancy, the levels of progesterone is high to prevent you from going into labor. And that's what makes it safe for you to have sex without going into labor. Towards the end of the pregnancy, the progesterone level drops because your body is now preparing to have the baby. So that progesterone level drops, and now the hormones like estrogen and oxytocin kicks in. And oxytocin, as we call it, a love hormone and the labor hormone, is the one that your brain will connect with the hormones to release that high level of oxytocin to bring the labor on. So in the presence of oxytocin, in the presence of estrogen, in the presence of prostaglandins, which again, in the semen, there are prostaglandins to soften the neck of the womb, plus the presence of oxytocin, then helps the body to go into labor. So it's all hormonal. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is the
so sex during pregnancy will not give premature labor.
It won't. If the person does not only have that as a high risk. So if it's normal, you have the presence of progesterone to protect you, and it's not going to trigger into labor. Towards the end of the pregnancy, when progesterone levels drop and oxytocin level goes high, then it can get your body into labor, which is what is expected.
Okay. Sadly, please hold on for a minute. Let's do a jingle. Dear listeners, we hope you're loving this as we are here in the studio. This is Women in Ministry. Today we're looking at sex during pregnancy. It's been awesome. Mrs. Adelaide Edubofo has been speaking to us about why we need to strengthen our intimacy during marriage, during pregnancy, because it is very, very important that the woman gets as much support, during the pregnancy as possible. She's discussed the physical changes that sometimes put women off pregnancy, women off sex, please, my apologies, and some of the hormonal changes that put women off sex as well. But right now, we're talking about some of the myths about sex in pregnancy that are not actually true. So that is stopping us from enjoying good intimacy during our pregnancy. Pregnancy is meant to be enjoyed, it's a good thing. So please send your questions in, send your contributions in, and let's talk. You're live on Supreme Praise Radio. You're listening to us from here and Faith Channel Radio, Channel of Mercy, and we are on Facebook, Supreme Praise Radio, and on YouTube, Supreme Praise Radio. Please share the page. This is awesome. Someone needs to hear it. So please share the page. And the phone line is +44 730 898 0156. Remember, our guest speaker here has a perineal clinic. She will be speaking to us. We have so much in store for you. You need to wait towards the end of the program and we'll let it all out. So it's good. Please tune in and be blessed. Sadly, you can carry on. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Eva. Some of the myths that we were going on to explore, one of the myths is that, does the penis hurt the baby? Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
Very common.
Yeah, and especially with the men as well, they think that no, I'm not going there. That's
yes.
my baby.
I think the men are more worried about that.
Yeah.
They think they're hurting the baby,
Yeah. So no, it's not true at all. The way that God has created the female anatomy, where the womb is, the baby is inside the womb, and it's not just inside the womb. It creates a nice sac, the amniotic sac for the baby, and then it's got water all around. So the water's round as well, and plus the womb is quite a thick, solid, strong muscle. We've got the neck of the womb, which starts right at the beginning of the vaginal wall. So there is no way during sex where the penis sits in the vagina. It's a long canal. And the vagina can stretch 200%. Did you know that? Women, we are very powerful, right?
Wow.
So, so then during sex, there is no way that this penis can go past the cervix, which is the neck of the womb. The neck of the womb also have a plug there, it's a mucus plug. That's when you're about to go into labor, you have a show. That mucus plug comes out, mixed with a bit of blood, and then you get a bit of that sticky bleeding before, and then you are in labor. So that plug is there protecting that baby, plus the length of the neck of the womb. So let alone, the penis doesn't pass, it doesn't even reach the neck of the womb, let alone get into the uterus or the womb to touch the baby. So there is no way that penis will hurt the baby. And some people believe that the unborn baby is aware that there is sexual intercourse going on, and as a result, it can make them promiscuous when they are born. That is not true. The baby is oblivious. He doesn't even know. Do you know why they think that? Because during sex, sometimes there is fetal movement. The baby moves and kicks, yeah? And so it's because mom is happy and the signal is going to baby, and with or without sex, babies move anyway. So if baby is moving, it's because obviously there is that external contact going on. It doesn't mean that the baby is aware. And I know people who have there is a guy that completely stopped having sex with the wife purely because the baby was moving. So you see, the baby is aware I'm doing this, let's not do this. So, and
Miracle baby.
Some people even believe that the baby can actually grab the penis. Can you imagine? As in they can reach out to the penis and hold it and say, "Hey, daddy, stop what you are doing for me." So again, it's not true. It's not true that the baby can actually grab the penis and hurt the man. That's not true at all.
I suppose it's because we are not educated to know our bodies.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we won't think like that.
At
Yes.
all. I remember I was on labor ward and we encourage a couple to have sex to get them into the lady into labor. So to cut a long story short, when you know how sometimes when babies come out and their head is a bit swollen, we call it caput osidonum. So it's because of the way they negotiate through the pelvis to come out. So they come always with a funny shape with the head, isn't right? So this guy followed me to the midwife station and said, "Oh, Adelaide, I feel really bad. No, the midwife told me we should have sex and we did, and I think I hurt my baby." Yeah, so this is what we're talking about. So I have to explain to you, there is no way you would have hurt your baby, no way. And he got reassured. But if he hadn't spoken to me, he would have walked away thinking that is what hurt the baby and believed that. So that's not the case at all. How much time have I got?
Good question.
But anyway, they're giving us 10 more minutes. So we got 10 more minutes.
The next 5 minutes, I'm done. Yeah. Okay. So now, what kind of positions can we encourage? What do you think? Positions that we can recommend?
I mean, I suppose once the first trimester is done, you can't really do missionary position for the woman because it might hurt her back, the load of the baby on her and all that.
Yeah. So what are some of the positions as the bum gets bigger we can recommend? So have you heard about all fours position, as in going on your knees?
Okay.
It's almost like a doggy position.
All right.
Yeah. So the doggy position is quite good for advanced pregnancy. But the woman has to find a way of taking control because it can actually aid deep penetration, and that can be quite uncomfortable if the penetration is deep. So that's where communication is so important. So you can communicate and make sure that it's not uncomfortable. And also the woman can go on top. When you go on top, you are more in control because you can actually drive. You are in the driving seat basically. And women can also be in the left lateral position. When you go on left lateral means going on your side. And I say left and I emphasize on left because during pregnancy, there is this big blood vessel that supplies oxygen to the baby. It's called the inferior vena cava. This inferior vena cava is on the right side. So as the pregnancy grows, the womb can press on the inferior vena cava and reduce oxygen supply to baby, which we don't want. So we always encourage women not to lie on their right side. You need to lie on your left side and ease the pressure of the womb off that inferior vena cava to give good oxygen supply to baby. So by lying on your left side, again, the man can come from behind and penetrate that angle, and there is no pressure on the tummy, can play with the breast as well. And I don't know if you know about the spoon position or the scissors position. I think that will be quite easy to show with the picture, but that's one of the positions that can be used. And to finalize it, that we need to quickly look at the benefits of sex during pregnancy. It helps with physical bonding. It prepares and tones your pelvis in preparation for childbirth. You enjoy it because you have new sexual and sensual experience due to the hormonal changes, and you don't have to worry about falling pregnant again. And as you are in that cloud, shall I say cloud 300, at that moment you feel good and it relieves some stress, you release tension. So it's a good thing.
Yes, because for 9 months, you don't worry about taking any birth control.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to go free motorway. And finally, I want us to quickly touch on when to avoid penetrative sex. I think I mentioned some of the things based on the question you asked me. When the placenta is in the lower part of the womb, because it can start to separate. The placenta is the one that supplies baby with nutrition, oxygen, yeah. So while she's in there, so if that placenta separates and it's very vascular, it's got a lot of blood vessels. So when it separates, it means the woman has emergency. She can bleed and lose the pregnancy. So that's why when you have placenta previa, we will say don't have sex. Also, preterm, we've talked about that. When the waters break, so ruptured membranes, once the water is the one protecting that baby from infection and everything. So once the waters break, we advise not to have sex, because if you do, that can increase the risk of infection traveling from the vagina into the baby. And also, when you have any vaginal bleeding, we encourage you not to, because we don't know what could be placenta separating. It could be anything. We don't know what is causing the bleeding. So we try to encourage women not to have sex. And also, if the woman has history of weak cervix, some women have weak cervix, so they easily have the miscarriage. So recurrent miscarriage, recurrent preterm pregnancy, and yeah. So with those conditions, we try and encourage women not to have sex. Okay. So sometimes you find that the penetrative sex is not possible. What do? As I said, it's not always about just, penetration. It's about the bond you create. It's about the communication, as Audrey said, and other things you can do to keep connected. It's about connection, isn't it? So when the sex is not possible, you need to take advantage. So if it's a woman that's not feeling great, the man needs to give a lot of tender loving care, is nurturing her. So when the opportunity comes for you to do it, then bingo, it's all been prepared. So sometimes you can also do things. It could be as simple as massaging each other, foot massage. You can go stand behind the woman, just massage her shoulders. It's all those physical touch. There are so many things that, again, from health point of view, we can encourage other things that they can do, like oral sex and stuff. But for some people, for religious reasons, that may not be acceptable. So, as a healthcare professional, we look after the whole population. So that's another topic altogether. So you need to explore other things that you can do that will kind of keep you together, cuddling, kissing, watching TV together. You can even cut each other's nails, go out into a nice quiet place in a garden and relax. And so it's ultimately, all I'm saying is keep that communication lines going. Still have some physical contact, even if penetrative sex is not possible, and look after each other. If you have any concerns, contact the right professionals and ask them to alleviate your anxiety. Work within your means and cut your coat according to your size, so that financial burden does not cause strain, which can then bring about conflict and have impact on the relationship altogether. So I think I will leave it at this point. If you have any questions or
yes, a question has come through for you.
Okay, my dear.
And it's in two parts. It says that how often should sex be done during this period? And the second part says that to which month should you not have sex?
So let's remind me of the second part, but let me answer the first part. The first part, how often? As many times as you want, as long as both of you are comfortable. So there is no limit to it. Enjoy it. So unless you have any of the complications that I highlighted, it's a free motorway for you. Enjoy as much as you want. And what's the second part?
The second part says that in which month should you not, as to which trimester. So
again, it's the same response. As long as the doctor has not said there is any high risk, as in you are bleeding or you have that placenta previa or the waters are broken. If everything is going normal, low risk pregnancy, you can have it throughout from day one to the day you have the baby. It's all down to you and how comfortable you are. So as long as you are comfortable, keep going. Remember, sex will even prepare your body for childbirth, and it makes it easier.
Well, that ties into another question that I've got here. Someone has texted that during pregnancy, there's a saying that the man needs to water the baby. How does that impact on the pregnancy? Does it really water the baby, or does it help with pushing the baby out?
No, it doesn't really water the baby as such, but it's a way of trying to encourage couples to keep connected, because the psychological well-being is very important, and it's kind of there has been some research to say if the woman feels good, positive, there is that relationship going on, it has impact on the baby as well. So it's a way of trying to encourage the couple to actually say it's okay to have sex and it's fine. Having said that, towards the end of the pregnancy, when we say that they should have sex to initiate labor, the man in the semen has what we call prostaglandins. That prostaglandin helps to bring the labor on. Remember, when the progesterone levels has dropped and the estrogen and oxytocin levels have gone up to prepare the body for birth, the prostaglandins in the semen or the sperms of the man, shall I say, will actually, when it's deposited in the vagina, it helps to make the neck of the womb or the cervix soft in preparation for helping to let it open for that baby to come out. So towards the end of the pregnancy, in that case, you can say yes, it's watering it and preparing for childbirth. Have I answered the question?
Yes, yes. So it doesn't actually add to the amniotic fluid or whatever. It doesn't actually water.
No. It doesn't get there. No, the amniotic sac is sealed. But yeah, it helps you to get into labor towards the end, but not watering the baby.
Well,
and it's for woman's well-being.
We all should take our science and biology education very seriously, because they are for life, you know. You don't just learn them to take an exam. You need them when you grow up, especially reproduction. Dear listeners, you know, when we're being taught reproduction in secondary school, some of us weren't really listening, you know. And not everything you read on the internet is certified nowadays. So you could be reading a lot of junk on the internet. So thank God for this program. Sister Adley, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure having you, and thank you for all the experience that you've poured out there, that, you know, sex during pregnancy helps with the physical bonding as a couple and the psychological well-being of especially the woman, you know, who goes through so many changes, and then it helps her with her psychological well-being during the pregnancy, and it also prepares the pelvis for childbirth. So
the pelvic floor, yeah, definitely.
yes, for childbirth. So young mothers and mothers to be, this is where you get your advice from, good advice, you know, certified advice, not on one born every minute, you know, that will help you in preparing your body and preparing your relationship during the period of pregnancy. So thank you so much, Minister.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I feel highly honored that you invited me to be on this platform. Thank you.
Yes, and please put in an order for Mrs. Edubofo's book. It's on Amazon. Please get your copy. The title is Sex and Romance During Pregnancy and After the Birth: What Expectant Couples Need to Know.
Thank you so much, Sister Eva. What an amazing time we've had with Mrs. Edubofo. This time is expensive time, a time that money cannot buy. And you are very much lucky and blessed. There will be a rebroadcast next week, Sunday, with this same program. So if you have missed it or a friend have missed it, please don't worry. We will broadcast it again, so you would have the chance and time to learn and educate yourself. Again, what should we say, Mrs. Edbofo? Thank you so much for your time and the knowledge in which you have shared with us. We are very much grateful, and we look forward to the next program that we have with you, which will be on the 23rd of this month. So again, there is another one coming. to, open the gates of what we thought that we cannot talk about, the things that we see it as a taboo from the side in which we come from. Today, that door has been opened, and we can talk about sex during pregnancy. We have been educated. Just so you did not have the time to bring in your questions, kindly post them whilst the program has finished, and we will send them to Mrs. Edubofor, and we will post the answers online for you. God bless you for tuning in.
Next week's topic, perineal health.
Yes, our next topic, thank you, Sister Eva, which will be on the 23rd of May. It's about perineum care. So we'll talk about, again, the silence topic. Many women are suffering in silence after birth, where there's trauma to the perineum, and it gets in the way of life, and some women are suffering in silence. Mrs. Edubofor is specialist in that area, and she would educate us on that day. There will still be an opportunity to bring in your questions. If you are indeed suffering from such situation, you can have a direct contact. And again, she runs a clinic, and you will be benefit from going to see her. So this can all be arranged once you tune in and you put in your questions. You can contact us, and we can arrange that for you. And again, we say thank you so much, so much, Mrs. Edgeworth. We know how busy you are for you to have this time with us and share such an important topic and knowledge. We are very grateful. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. God bless you.
And just to break it down a bit for our listeners who are not medical professionals, perineal whatever is when a woman has vaginal birth and they say she's had a tear. Yes, when you get a tear, that's what we are talking about. So please tune in on the 23rd, and let's have an exciting session. I know it will be good. So please tune in. Well, so till we come your way again. Thank you so much. Have a blessed week.
Sister
with you.
Eva. Sister Eva, Minister Audrey, please don't rush out now. I know we are pressed behind time, but let me ask this question to our guest Adelaide.
Am I still on air?
Yes, you are still on air.
Yes, you are.
Your Cosmopolitan Christian radio station.
Okay, so by the grace of God, I have 3 children. And during all these 3 times of pregnancy, I was seriously deprived an amount of time. So from what you are saying, am I still qualified to regain my time lost?
Oh, yes. Go and claim all your time lost, overtime included.
Thank you very much, Auntie Adelaide. It's been a really, really learning process.
I think sometimes it's good for the men to be deprived.
No, I disagree with you. I disagree totally.
Well, we'll save that for the next broadcast.
I disagree. They shouldn't be deprived.
Thank you very much. Listeners, you've been listening to Adelaide Edubofor as the guest, the host did mention. Please, Sister Eva, if you could give the title of the book and where we can get it again, it's very, very important. Let's do this for our guest. Please share the contact again before we go off air.
The title of the book, once again, is Sex and Romance During Pregnancy and After the Birth. What expectant couples need to know by Mrs. Edubofor.
And you can buy this book from Amazon. Just so you forget the title, kindly send us a message and we will send you the title.
Once again, let me say thank you very much and God bless you all.
Supreme Praise Radio, your Cosmopolitan Christian radio station. Cosmopolitan Weekend Show. Tune in every Saturday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. as NYG brings you music, news and interviews. Start your weekend in the presence of God with worship and the word on the Cosmopolitan Weekend